I am because look how.
Good morning.
Morning, how you doing?
Good, how are you, Jill?
Good. I think you need to get some rid of some of those books behind you.
I don't think I have enough. I need more bookshelves.
I have a friend in Nebraska who years ago moved into a new house and then showed all the bookcases he had to set up for his books. And it was absolutely amazing. It was like a whole room of these bookcases.
That is like my dream someday. I remember watching Beauty and the Beast when I was little, and I was like, yes, I want that library. I don't care about anything else in this movie. I just want that in my house.
Hold on a second, I need to turn on a light. Oh, that helps. Okay. So Amanda, have you been in Betts at all since you got hired?
No, sure haven't. Yeah, I know, I guess I have a key there, and I know my badge is there too, because they wouldn't give me my employment badge because I wasn't allowed to go in the building yet. So it'll be exciting to do that. I did go in like undercover when I got hired, but before it was like officially known, like my husband and I went to check it out because I had only been there, I think once for like an OCSLD meeting or probably a member council meeting. So it's beautiful. Like I can't wait. But yeah, it's such an odd time to start a job. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And you're not the only one. I've heard of other people who are,
Yeah.
starting jobs and which is weird, especially for places where you have to hit the ground running. So suddenly everyone's working from home.
Okay, bye-bye.
And you have to somehow do that job without being on site.
Yeah, I know. So Miranda, who I guess is under Joyce, she started, I think, the same day I did at Beecham as the children's librarian. So we're in it together.
Yeah.
It'll be really nice to meet all my staff, not just over like Zoom and email. So that'll be
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye, Anne.
And who are you saying goodbye to?
Sorry. Sorry, Jill. I was at a Zoom staff meeting and didn't want to log in late here, so apologies.
That's okay.
So Jill, are you officially retired now or not yet?
No, not yet. So because I'm teaching also on the quarter system,
Oh,
I
yeah.
really don't end until the end of June. So I've been telling everyone that my last day is June 30th, which is, you know, a mythical date to pick. Hopefully my grading will actually be done by then. But that's my last. That's it.
Exciting.
Yeah. 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 Although I'll be busy. So, and still faculty mentor for one of our new faculty members, and you know, potentially helping with some recruiting or some other things. But so they'll, you know, I'll still be connected with SU.
That's awesome. I always joke my in-laws are busier than we are in their retirement. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to things I always think I'll get done during break or during the summer, and then summer, you know, comes and goes. It's like, oh, I still didn't do that thing. And so there's a bunch of that things that I'd like to get done, some of which will not get done this year either. But I'm hoping to make some headway in the garden. There's some bushes that need to be severely cut back, and some other garden projects. So if I can get those done, that would be a bonus. And then next year, if I can actually clean the basement.
Ooh. Godspeed.
Excuse me, can I ask who's Joyce's iPad? What's your name?
Oh, that's Miranda?
Is that Miranda?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure I have her on there.
Yeah. You probably can't see that in the chat, but she had told us. And so Miranda, not Miranda was, which is in chat. You actually can change the name, your name that displays. And I don't remember.
Yeah, it's on the right. If you click on those three little
Dots.
dots.
If you put your cursor over your image, up in the upper right, three little dots pop up. And then if you click on the dots, one of those options is to change your name. And it's temporary.
Okay, what's Michelle's last name? Michelle R?
Michelle Roche, R-O-C-H-E.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ginny, I didn't recognize you with that background.
It's so you can't see the mess in my office. And also because my husband often walks by, and I had a United Way meeting a few weeks ago and it was at 8 in the morning. And I thought if he walks out in his pajamas, I'm going to be so embarrassed. So that's why I put the background up.
So I'm wondering who Chris is. Chris and Kim?
Well, Kim is Kim Kleinhans, librarian at Central.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Okay, Kim, thank you. Kids have their own way, as do husbands who like to do woodworking.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Nice painting, Rich.
He's from Croatia.
Oh, really? That boat looks very lonely out there.
He's a realist. Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Happy VE Day plus 75 to everybody.
When the pandemic is over, will it be VC Day?
Whatever that stands for, I don't know.
Victory over coronavirus?
Oh, yeah. VC 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jill, were you surprised by the county executive's announcement, or did you have an idea that it was coming?
I didn't have an idea that was coming.
I'm sorry, was that a question that I could help with? Hi, guys. I'm going to be on voice, not on video today. I'm having a lot of bandwidth problems, as anybody who's spent any time in Zoom with me will tell you. So if it's okay with you guys, I'm just going to be on voice today. If you need to see me, just let me know, okay?
That's fine. Maintaining bandwidth is good. So Jenny, actually I had a conversation with Christian earlier in the day, but that was, I didn't have like huge forewarning.
For that we were going to go live? I'm happy to give everyone a timeline on that.
That was in Christian's email, wasn't it? March 26th, curbside.
Mm-hmm.
So let's wait a couple minutes and we'll get started.
Great,
And
thank you,
make sure
everyone.
that we can get, so far I have, in terms of board members, I have 6 of us.
Marilyn just honed in. She can't make it because of her sister's just had surgery. So if we could
Okay.
add her to the consent agenda, that'd be great.
Okay.
How's everybody doing?
Well, you have to, with a caveat, all things considered, pretty well.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I don't see Bob on, and he might not be because he's driving back from Florida this weekend.
Oh, he picked the perfect time for it with it 30 degrees out.
Yeah, he said he was
Yep.
going to try via phone, but we'll see.
Jenny, are you in Hawaii?
I had that first thought. I was like, oh my God, Ginny, where are you? And I thought, oh, you're in your bedroom with a cool backdrop. Got it. Awesome.
Actually, St. Martin.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we have picked up everyone from the board that we're going to get. I'm going to ask if you're not on the board, if you would mute yourself. And you can do that by putting your cursor in the upper right-hand corner of your little square and clicking on mute. That also helps bandwidth, so thank you for that. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. And our first thing on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda, which are board absences. And our two board absences are Marilyn and Babette.
So moved.
Thank you, Jenny. Second?
Second.
That's it.
Thank you, Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you, so moved. So this board meeting is to talk about reopening, which is scheduled for May 26th. And I just want to start off by saying that at the beginning of the year, the two of the three things that I want to personally focus on this year were sustainability and visibility. And clearly we are very visible, having been mentioned now several times in the county executives briefings. And we know that sustainability is going to be important for us going forward. So it's fortuitous, maybe, that I picked those two things to focus on this year. In terms of visibility, the major thing that's happening is the reopening, and that's scheduled for May 26th. I keep having to look at the calendar. That's why I look that way.
Day after Memorial Day.
Day after Memorial Day. Oh, there's Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hi. Sorry about that.
Christina.
That's okay. And so, Christian, if you would like to tell us the timeline and then what the plans are for reopening, I'd appreciate it. And again, if you're not a member of the board, if you can put yourself on mute, thank you.
Thanks, Jill, and thanks everybody for making time for us today and for making time for the library in your busy schedules today. So the timeline on this is pretty tight. Libraries first came up in a press conference and a briefing with Ryan on Sunday, and that kind of put it onto his radar. And then Brian reached out to me after the briefing to set up a meeting on Monday to talk about plans going forward. That plan, you know, that I kind of took, you know, fortunately, this didn't surprise us. I mean, it sort of surprised us in the timing, but we've been working on this. We've been working on this for weeks. So we have a really great group working as a reopening team. They're members of the leadership and members of the leadership of the member libraries. Things have been going very well. And so we were prepared at least for some concept of this. I created a plan kind of in that evening. I kind of went off book a little bit on some stuff that the group had been talking about just because we were on a tight deadline. And I was interested in slowing things down as much as possible. It's very funny that in New York City, I was known as a guy who was pushing things to go faster all the time in New York City. And now I'm in Onondaga and I'm pushing to slow things down all the time, it feels like. But that's very much baked into that plan. For the plan for resumption of services to resumption of library services to Onondaga County. Ryan got a hold of it and liked it. I mean, he really liked it a lot. So I was asked on Tuesday. No, I heard from him so it came up again in a press conference on Monday that now he had a plan and he was talking about that. Brian and I talked on Monday as well. And then on Monday, Brian asked me to prepare a plan for curbside services, a detailed plan for curbside services by end of day on Tuesday. So Don and I worked together and we hit that and we got that plan together. And then as of Wednesday, you know, we were live by the end of the day. I found out that we were definitely going on the 26th about 45 minutes or so, I think, before the press conference. And I reached out to Jill, and I had been speaking to Brian because I've been communicating so much. I think Brian felt like maybe we had overextended, you know, I had overextended a little bit of where we were at. So I was trying to keep things a little bit closer until I had a better idea of what was actually happening with the county plan. And so, you know, and so then yesterday was kind of firming some of that up. We've been in very close contact with the union, who have reviewed this plan at a number of different levels. They're quite pleased with it. The state level health and safety officer has reviewed it and made a couple of minor changes regarding language, mostly around administrative stuff. If somebody goes home with a fever, they go home on administrative leave, not sick leave, that kind of granular, nuanced stuff. But otherwise, they have deemed the document good. From what I'm hearing, they may very well be sharing it with some other union resources to be used as a model. Evidently, the health and safety guy was pretty happy with what he was seeing with our actual plan. So the union is on board. I mean, we're scrambling to get some essential infrastructure stuff. And I mean, scrambling is a fair term to be used in these days, right? So we have a large number of breath guards on order. Those will not be necessary for the curbside pickup though, because that's a low no contact. We're leaving them on a, you know, you come, you show me your ID, I put your bag on on the bench in the vestibule, open up the door, go back inside, lock the door, you come in, grab your books off the vestibule, give me a wave, and then leave. There's no, you know, the goal is to have low no contact for, you know, for pickup and drop off on this stuff. We are a number of as you all know, the member libraries, of course, are their own entities. This is an aggressive plan. This is an aggressive schedule. We're gonna be the first, if not the first, one of definitely the first large systems in the state doing this. I was talking to Jeremy from NYLA. I asked him if we were the first one in the States. He said there's some small, like little quote unquote mom and pop libraries that have been doing curbside pickup kind of on the down low for a while, but that, yep, I mean, Onondaga would obviously be the first system to be doing that kind of thing. You know, yay for us. So one of the issues that we are facing, however, and this is very complicated, a number of our member libraries are happy to come on board and happy to be in line with us. You know, I see Meg is on this call. Thank you, Meg. The Beeville trustees voted to open up services in line with Onondaga County services, so that they're matching us. They actually even wrote it into the language so that it's not date specific. It's tied to our moves, which I really appreciated a lot and took as a really, you know, really nice sign of the confidence in the members. So I really appreciate that, Meg. So thank you for that. So a number of the members are certainly open to start offering these services. I think there's kind of a beautiful central New York nihilism that comes into play here of like, why not us? It might as well be us. So, and kind of some pride in being innovators as well. One of the problems though is there's a major problem that we're kind of running into, and I'm talking to county about this, and I'm talking to a number of people at the state level about this. If you are a government entity, if you are a, you know, county department like OCPL, or if you are a school library like Beeville, then you can open up under the, you know, under kind of phase one, and you can be kind of driven and directed by phase one. A number of our libraries are association libraries. As association libraries, they essentially operate as, for better, you know, an easy way of conceptualizing it is as independent, not-for-profit entities. As such, they are not covered. They are still covered under the governor's executive order. And that's, you know, so if they were to open, there's a great deal of concern from some of the members who, again, are willing to go along, are willing to do this and make this work, but they are concerned that they will be exposed to a higher level of liability, or that there may be some, impact or repercussions down the line because they have violated the governor's executive order. NYLA had some good advice on this, which is, they're still considered under the executive order, and they're going to try and get some answers. Jeremy Johansson from NYLA and Tim Burke, the system director of, I was getting my systems confused because I'm pretty new to this kind of stuff, but he's the system director there in Albany, and a former president of NYLA. Tim's a really smart guy. I've known him for years. He and Jeremy met with the governor and were trying to get more specific clarification as to where libraries would fall. I think the general instinct for them and what they were lobbying for is that libraries should be in phase 4, actually. So that's going to be kind of interesting. The state library didn't have a lot of kind of clarity on that. I was, of course, in touch with them about this, but they don't have a lot of clarity on that. They're awaiting some clarity from the governor as well. And I know that Jeremy is from NYLA is awaiting some clarification as well. I did have a chance. I sent all of this over to Brian and have spoken to Brian. He and I spoke yesterday at some length on this issue, and the county is very happy to try and get waivers or disbursements or whatever it is that we need to get from the governor's office to start, to get those people, those libraries, the options that they need to open or not as they choose. And I think that he's willing, he's looking to have the county kind of advocate on their behalf on that as well. One concern that many of the members had is that if they are unable to open due to legal, requirements, and potential liabilities, they don't want to be dinged by their community to have people think that they are not participating in the reopening, right? Especially some of them have some budget votes coming up, and they feel that it would be very bad optics for them to be closed while we're open, and for their public to just not understand that it's really nothing to do with them. It's not really their decision. The county has said that if we get to the time where we're coming up on the opening and these guys still can't open, for these reasons, then yes, Ryan will absolutely, make that clear to people and help to make, help people to understand that. And we have offered that should it come down to it, our communications team will, will respond to that as well. And kind of make it clear on our website, hey, we can do it, other people can't. If I have to do a YouTube video of me being like, hey, everybody, library law is complicated and this is why, I'm happy to do that too. Speaking of communications, Kathy and her team have a really amazing communications plan in place. I'm very, very happy with it. So I've now put that entirely out of my mind, and I'm just waiting for my marching orders on that. But it's really strong. So, I have a lot of confidence there. Mark and Charles and Don and Dane and the whole leadership team, Amanda, everybody's been doing a really crackerjack work and working really hard. We have a number of things on order. We have cloth masks on order for everyone. We have gloves on order. We're putting in an order for disposable masks, which are hard to source, but not as hard as they were. The disposable masks are mostly for patrons. And we're also getting gaffing tape to lay out new direction spaces and paths on the floors for people to use. We're acquiring stanchions to create new spacings. And of course, we do have a significant order in for breath guards and that kind of stuff. And that order is definitely in process. And I'm very proud of the work of our team for getting that in. And that's the update. So I'm sure everyone has questions, and I'm happy to field them. Everyone's been working extremely hard, and I'm very proud of the work that our staff has been doing.
How is the circulation system going to work? Let's say I want to pick up a book at Central Library and it belongs to Marcellus, and they're still closed.
You will not be able to get that item.
Okay.
There's no staff in those. So what we're doing is we're instituting a hard 72-hour quarantine on all materials. And I think that that's important in there as well. If a book comes in, it's going to be in quarantine for 72 hours before it even gets checked in. mostly because I want minimal contact before they're put under plastic bags or under tarps, or, you know, depending on the unit that is housing the materials, it's going to take something different to isolate it, but everything will be isolated for 72 hours. That's a great question, Ed. It's actually something that Dane and his team are looking at right now, because, as you say, if, you know, you're looking for In Exile from the Land of Snows, that is on the shelf in Marcellus or Maxwell, and Maxwell is not open yet because they're not able to do that. We will not be able to honor that hold. So that is something that our team started looking at.
So will our
pretty hard.
messaging will tell us that if you're trying to
Hopefully.
go to the Circ system?
Hopefully. I mean, it may just say not available. That title may drop out of the system. I don't know an answer to that right now. I know that is being addressed. I know Dane and Zach and Katie are working on that. Zach being kind of our ILS guru, and they've been working on it for a couple of days now. You know, I mean, since we kind of had this timeline step up, I would expect that we'll have a better idea of that beginning of next week, and we'll be looking at it then.
Christian, so thank you for the update and for the timeline. Apologies for the mower in the background here in my house. My question is, how is this going to work at all the city branches? Will they all be, the person comes into the entryway, or?
Yes.
So
if we are unable to establish a vestibule, then I think we'll probably use a table outside if possible. I don't really want people coming into the library. As little people getting a toehold into the actual space of the library right now, the better. And I can't believe that I'm saying that as a library director in front of a board at a great library, but that's kind of what it is I don't want people coming in. So if there is a space that we cannot create these airlocks, I'm calling them airlocks for lack of a better term, if we're not able to establish these airlocks, then we can look at either a table outside or in inclement weather, potentially a stanchioned off kind of holding zone in the first little hallway of the library. I have not been able to get this done yet, but I'm going to be doing a survey of all of the buildings. And I'll be working with Tony and John and Charles and Don to establish what our best spaces are and where we're going to be directing people to go. It may not even be the front door. I mean, there may be another entrance to the library that would act as a better containment space, for lack of a better term. And that's all stuff that we have to look at for when we get into the specific planning starting next week.
And I would assume that this is the branches and not the other two library outlets.
At the centers, you know, at the community centers.
Right.
I don't know if those are going to be opened. And honestly, we have, those are very small spaces. It would be very hard to enforce social distancing in those spaces. It would be very hard to, those are tricky spaces. I, of course, would like to get them open again, but honestly, we're going to be very tight on staffing. Particularly if we attempt to follow some best practice in staffing, which which is out there, but it's going to be hard for us to accomplish it. Now that we went from a staff of 183 to a staff of 100 by losing our part-timers, by losing all of our part-time staff. That's going to make a significant impact on our staffing at the branches. This is a relatively low contact staffing situation with this curbside stuff, although there will be a lot of materials handling. So, it's going to be hard to keep things running smoothly with the staffing that we have. With the, kind of idiocies of the coronavirus, there are some staffing things that make it more difficult. We can't have people floating. I'm very, very, very uncomfortable with people moving around between branches, because somebody who somehow contracts COVID-19, who then goes between White to Beecham to Mundy, is now, having contact with 3 different staffing populations. So our goal is very much to try and make it so that each staffing location can be kind of independent, and the people who work there can be working there. We're in early conversations with the union about potentially relocating some folks from Central, because Central, the staffing for this work is, you know, it's fairly fat, frankly. It's fairly rich, robust for what we're going to be doing. Now, of course, we're doing things with the 3D printer, so there's work out of the Maker Lab, so staff's going to have to be manning the Maker Lab. And, you know, but I don't know that downtown is going to be the busiest spot for pickup. I rather doubt that it will be. And so that being the case, some Central staff may be reassigned on a, you know, while we're doing this kind of basis to some of the branches, you know, as a way of covering that. Ideally, we should be splitting our staff into 2 groups. And this is where it gets very difficult. I'm using Alpha Omega as kind of notations. There's no qualitative comment being made there. But if you have Team Alpha and Team Omega, they should be able to do the work of a day at the library. And then you split them. Best practice would be to have them doing 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. It's a lot of firefighting crews are doing now, as a means of allowing the disease to incubate, or the virus to incubate, so that people are not asymptomatic when they come back into contact, right? So if you get sick at the beginning of your 2-week shift, by the end of your 2-week shift, you're running a fever. So that would be the ideal. It will be extremely challenging for us to make that work, and for that to necessarily be, you know, kind of taken as a great way of doing it. So, because just libraries have never done that kind of thing before. I'm trying to see, and again, I defer to my colleague Dawn, who's much more informed about the branches than I am and their scheduling. I'm trying to see if we can do an Alpha Omega day on, day off team, where one team would come in on Monday, one team would come in on Tuesday, one team would come in on Wednesday. It would be Alpha Omega, then rinse and repeat. The idea being that the 2, as much as possible, the 2 work teams would not come in contact, so that if there's a flare up in one work team, then the members of staff in the other are not infected. That's going to be pretty challenging, and we may not necessarily be able to see that, but that's definitely a goal of mine.
So I know Jenny has a question. Jenny?
Sorry, Jenny.
Hi, Christian. Have you addressed how you'll handle the situation if an employee refuses to come to work because of fear of contracting COVID? Is that a county decision, or is that inherent to the library to make their decision on how to handle it?
There's a lot that goes into that, Jenny, actually. It's pretty, you know, this is all new territory. There is some new law that protects people, particularly people who are older or have pre-existing conditions. We have a lot of staff who are older and are high-functioning, high-working, hard-working older adults in the field who now will be at a higher risk. So there's some stuff that's in place, you know, for protections and that kind of stuff for folks. I think it's called Madeline's Law. I believe it was named after Cuomo's mother. It's for protections for older folks, and it is directly related to COVID-19.
Matilda is his mother.
Okay, so Matilda's Law then. So that's in place, you know, and that's something that I'm kind of becoming more familiar with. We are already hearing this, you know, we're hearing it from a few people. We're hearing concerns from folks about childcare, which is a very fair concern. We're trying to see if our staff can access the same county resources for childcare that they've made available for other essential personnel. You know, I'm very loath to have librarians defined as essential staff, just because there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. I mean, there's some gains, but there's a lot of, you know, things that kind of become difficult at that point. And some staff are concerned about, you know, their kid, you know, being with first responder kids, that they have more, you know, they more stuff, more exposure. Anyway, you know, yeah, that's definitely a concern that we have, and it's something that we're expecting. I don't have an answer. I don't have an idea of how many people that is. I have been in contact very regularly with Val from the union, and she is telling me that she's getting a lot of pushback that way, and I'm starting to get some as well. So it's going to make the schedule pretty fluid and pretty lively, and make it that much harder to do the kinds of divisions that I'm looking at.
So Matilda's law says that people over 70 should stay home, but we know that people over 70 sometimes have to work. So I think that will be interesting to see how that impacts the library. Anyway, I know that Sam has questions. So Sam?
Thanks, Jill. The child care thing, and then also elder care, if you're responsible for taking care of a parent or something, I think do play into that as well. So I think that that's a real concern for sure. My questions are, have there been discussions with the county about bringing back the part-time staff? And then the second piece, which is probably aligned in some way, do you have any sense on how many outstanding holds there are and what the rush will be like, on day one for people who are expecting to get their books finally?
Sam, you always hit me with the great ones, man. So in answer to your first question regarding furloughed staff, I don't have anything right now. I haven't heard. I mean, I've seen some interesting budget projections that potentially, gave me some hope for a little bit. And then, Rochester fired, a lot of people. So I don't know if you guys saw that Rochester Public Library furloughed, some upwards of like 150 people this week. So I don't know anything about the part-timers. You can rest assured that when our staff does a bang-up job of providing these services to our public, then I will certainly be arguing that we need more help. But at this time, nobody has really talked to me about bringing back part-timers. Honestly, the fairly kind of oblique, gentle, non-binding conversations have mostly been in regards to making sure that we can protect our full-timers, to be completely honest. So regarding the other one, regarding the holds, I don't have a number on it, but Sam, I'm expecting this to be like the county candy for a good month, right? Like, people haven't been able to do anything. They haven't been able to get any new input. They haven't been able to get any books or any new materials. I am highly I am expecting very high responses on this. Day 1, maybe day 12, this thing is going to be humming. So I think we need to prepare for that, but I don't have a solid idea of numbers yet. We can be happy to report back to the board with a better idea of numbers once I get them.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I mean, I think, the connection back to the argument for replacement of staff to maybe some strategic information that's made public to the degree that you can about how excited people are about the libraries and, what it looks like to be delivering the service with half the staff could be worthwhile there.
Sounds great to me.
So in chat, Miranda asks about cloth masks, and I believe those cloth masks are for staff.
Yeah, the cloth masks are for staff. The cloth masks are for staff, and we are, those are being sourced currently. Those have been being sourced for a couple of weeks now. So that's a run of masks that's being done for us. That I'm hoping is near completion. We have kind of a flyer out to find out information about that for today. We are looking at trying to get some disposable masks. Those would principally be for patrons, where we would be giving them to patrons. I don't want to have like a mask vending machine at the at the door of the library where people can come and just grab 5 masks and bolt. I don't really want to do that. But if people have to use the library for whatever reason, and they do not have a mask for whatever reason, I do think it's worth us having a supply of paper masks to be able to give to patrons. There has been some clarity that has been handed down from the legal counsel, the CLRC's Ask a Lawyer, regarding denial of service for people who are not wearing face masks. We are within our legal right to deny service to people who do not have face masks. It's kind of a no shirts, no shoes, no service thing right now. Wearing a face mask is recommended by the CDC. It's a public health recommendation. Therefore, we are in a position where we can say, look, if you're not wearing a mask, we don't want you in the door. Also, you know, again, hopefully we'll have low enough contact that it wouldn't be a factor for drop off. And we are trying to put in some time before we move from curbside to beginning to open the doors at all. Space is going to be a real problem for us. And I think everybody's kind of trying to figure that out. And I don't think anybody's got an answer right now.
Christian, do you have any idea of how long curbside service will last? Is this a 2-week, 3-week, 1 month?
As long as I can make it last, because it'll give us time to prepare for other stuff. So, I mean, at least 2 weeks is in the plan. You know, as we get going, I may make recommendations depending on how everything is looking to try and drag it out for a little bit longer. I don't necessarily see curbside stopping once we start opening the doors. And that may or may not be, you know, that may be hard to do. I'm not sure what that looks like, but my goal was to keep curbside going too, in order to, you know, minimize the load on like the building and on staff for people being in it, right? So if people can still get, the materials without having any contact with librarians, then why would we take away that and now have them have to make contact with CERC staff, or, you know what I mean? Like, why would we want them to sit across from a CERC clerk if we can do it in a way that would not require that? So in any case, so that's kind of something I'm thinking about on that. I don't have a solid date on that. We're doing limited hours because this is going to be a strain and because we're doing it with less staff. So 12 to 5 gives us time to prep the materials, get things routed in, get the bags prepped, pull for people. You know, we're also doing some blind bags. We're also doing some custom pulls based on people's preferences. That's going to be a whole thing. So, you know, we need to figure that out as well. So that's kind of why the limited hours, but we are doing Saturday from 12 to 5 for people who, you know, are going back to work like I am, you know, would need access to the library during non-work hours, non-business hours.
So that's 12 to 5, Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, 12 to 5, Monday through Saturday. Sunday just seemed like too much. It's definitely too much for us from a scheduling perspective. So we'll give everybody the day off.
There are some questions in chat, and one is about curbside delivery for the suburban libraries. And will you be providing guidance to them in terms of how they might set up curbside delivery? So that's one question. And then there's a question about testing for staff. And you've actually answered the third question, which is about reduced hours.
So I'm sorry. So first was
curbside delivery for the suburban libraries, if you'll be providing guidance on how they might do that. And the second question is about COVID-19 testing.
Okay, so for curbside, yes, the suburban libraries have absolutely been given a great deal of advisement on this. They have had a great deal of advice for me that I have utilized to create this document. This has very much been a cooperative effort. I'm not dictating anything to the members, and the members, I hope, are very comfortable with the fact that I am not doing that. They have the same plan. They have seen the plan. I actually sent it out to them as soon as it was, you know, cleared through Brian and Ryan that we were going to be getting this out. So they have this plan. They have this document. Again, Kathy and her communications team are preparing signage and techniques and all kinds of stuff that will be, you know, pre-made signs for them, things that they can put up at their stands, things that they can use to help direct people. You know, yes, we are giving as much advice and support to the member libraries in how they do this as we possibly can. I hope that there is a pretty open line of communication at this point. I know that I've been working at it. I know they've been working at that. So I think at this point, we're in a space where there's pretty good communication, where they're comfortable getting that advice, but they're getting everything that you're seeing, and they're also getting, you know, more stuff as well. There's a lot of stuff. Again, a lot of Kathy's plan is a countywide communication plan for how all of us are going to deal with this, not just for the city library. So to her credit and that of her team, you know, they're already doing a lot of that heavy lifting. So people will have some pretty strong toolkits to go from, some pretty strong, you know, skeletons to follow should they choose to do that, and then adapt them, as Meg mentioned, to their library. Testing, I assume that this is testing of staff. Staff will be tested, you know, they're going to have their temperature taken in the morning. You know, when they come on shift, they get the temperature taken. It's going to be a member of management or leadership that does it. I'm not super looking forward to it, but it is, you know, something that we have to do now. So everyone, we are in the process of sourcing laser no-touch thermometers. The union is very much in favor of our doing this, so much so that they are not comfortable going back until that is in place, which I have no you know, argument with them on at all, and I'm happy to make my best efforts to make that happen. We are currently trying to source those thermometers and are trying to get them. So they will be at each location. We'll have a couple of them at Central, and then we'll also have a couple in case we lose them or break them or something goes wrong. But yes, staff will, you know, if you have a fever, you will be asked to go home for 72 hours of administrative leave, to then return and have your temperature taken again when you return. If you still have a fever, then you will again be asked to not return to work. Materials testing, you know, I don't know if that's what we're talking about with testing. That's a whole other thing. There's a pretty interesting study that we're all waiting for the results from OCLC and IMLS, and they contracted with a lab in Ohio to actually get solid stats on how long coronavirus does exist in various library materials. They're also working in partnership with the Cleveland Public Library, I think. And so, you know, that study is happening, but we're all just kind of waiting for the results, and OCPL is ahead of these results. I mean, we are going to be responding before these results are published. So, you know, all probability the way things are going right now. So we're just using a general rule of thumb of a 72-hour quarantine on all materials. Nothing will move on the trucks until it's been in quarantine. And, you know, for that period of time. And we're asking all of the member libraries to honor that. And we have gotten a very emphatic, uniform assent to that. So we are in, you know, we are in accord that we are going to hold to that thing. No. COVID-19 tests? Nope. No, there isn't. And I don't want to do tests at the library, and I'm not exactly sure what kind of tests we would be doing that would have anything to do with that. The security, yes, we're going to be bringing back security, particularly on the central libraries. We're going to be bringing back people to help us kind of, you know, work our way through this. So that is Trace, and that is Unbelievable, both our community engagement people and our traditional, you know, level 3 security guards. We are making adjustments for them in their spaces for, again, breath guards and a lot of security, a lot of safety stuff around security as well. That's a whole other level of safety that's going to need to be done. Of course, some of that is going to be on the companies that are providing these workers, but there will also be, you know, we also want to help them with the space and provide them as much infrastructure within the space for their safety as possible. So they'll be around to help out with some of that.
So the one question I see is about distribution of the plan that you've developed, and if it will be given, when it will be given to branch managers.
I mean, I can share it with branch managers today. That's fine. I mean, it went out to a bunch of the people on the planning group. It went out to the member directors. I'm happy to share it with the branch managers. I mean, we were kind of ironing out some details regarding language with the union. I was waiting for the union to give us feedback on it, because on that one we were waiting for feedback from the health department and from the union. So we've gotten both of those, and adjustments have been made. So I can share it out with branch managers. I'm not really passing it on to all staff right now, and I'm not comfortable with all staff seeing it right now, mainly because I don't. You know, I'm not really looking for, input from 100 voices on this thing right now. It's pretty tight. And I think that we just kind of want to start moving forward on it. So I'm happy to share it with the branch managers, but I don't want it going out for public, public receipt until we're a couple of steps further along in the process. The plan has been sent to the board, but I'm happy to send it out again. Ed, you'll love this. I actually was asked by a member of senior leadership at New York Public to please share our plan with them, because we are the first in the state and they want to use it as part of their planning process. They're going to use it as a tool for some of their stuff.
Good.
So
Good for you.
you'd like that. It has been shared with Palusto. It has been shared with the State Library, with NYLA. Again, they're able to take a look at it because there's some of the specificity around the union language, which needed to be clarified before we share it out more broadly with our staff. So it's kind of more of a general glimmer of a twinkle in the eye for them, whereas it'll be a real hard planning document for us. But yeah, I'll get that out to people today. We haven't tiled that down yet. We don't know. Possibly. I don't want more than one bag, but we haven't really gotten into that level of granularity on the planning on the checkout.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I get, and it looks like actually Kathy just partially addressed this, but obviously the member libraries, the suburban libraries have their own governing bodies, and they'll be deciding when to resume curbside pickup and when to allow patrons into the building. Are communications of those decisions going to be coordinated by OCPL, or are those libraries going to be making individual announcements? Because I know, I suspect people might see something in the news about OCPL starting curbside pickup on the 26th and assume that, for example, Nopal or Salina will be offering it the same date. So are those communications can be coordinated so everybody gets the same information at the same time?
I defer to Kathy, but yeah, I think so. I mean, our leadership group has been talking twice a week. We talk on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're in pretty tight communication. So I think that I'm pretty comfortable saying that, yeah, that's the place. But again, I would defer this to Kathy. I'm sending everybody the planning docs right now, so you'll get an email. If you haven't received them, I thought they went out to you, but if they have not gone out to you, then I'm sending them out now.
Great, thank you.
Any other
that point,
questions from the board? Sorry.
If our website just indicates which libraries are functioning, that would be a starting place. In other words, if most of the members can't open yet, but let's say Baldwinsville is open, if we indicate on the website, that would be helpful, I'm sure, to everybody.
So that's all, it's Kathy. That's exactly what we are going to do. There's going to be a
Good.
website landing page. Christian, I'm sure could forward you the plan that I've created, so the board can take a look at it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we'd
all
love
that stuff will be addressed, and we will do our best to communicate often and as much information as possible, so that this is easily understandable to the public as it possibly can be.
That's great. Well, we expected nothing less from you.
So Christian, I have
I'm in the process of adding Kathy's plan to the document that I'm sending you, so you'll have all three of those documents in one, okay?
Great. Thank you. Christian, have you thought about maybe a town hall or something for all staff to bring them on board with what's happening?
Yes, we're looking at a couple of things for training and orientation. There's going to be a general reorientation. We're looking at developing, a lot of things. As much low contact training as possible. A town hall sounds like a great idea. Maybe we could do that in a massive Zoom meeting or something like that. We are going to be doing trainings and reorientations for everybody as they return to work. There's going to be specific training on, processes on the curbside, on masks, on gloves, on all that stuff. So there's going to be a lot of contact training as we're going forward, and that's going to be the case for the next foreseeable future. But yeah, sure, a town meeting sounds great. I'd love to do that.
Things like that help to keep people on the same page, which can be really useful. Any other questions, especially from the board?
Not a question, but just a comment. Kudos. Obviously, you've thought of an awful lot. I think it speaks very highly of the county executive's comfort level and confidence in you that we were one of the first organizations to open up, and certainly in the importance of libraries in the whole system. But just kudos. I think you're doing a great job, Christian.
I agree.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that. I could not be prouder of the work that I'm getting out of our staff right now. People are really, we're doing really innovative work. We're doing really important work right now. We are going to be leading the state, and I could not ask for a better group of people to do that with, both from the staff and of course from you guys. We have a really supportive board, and I appreciate that. It makes things a lot easier for us.
And I don't think it would be a bad thing, and Kathy, I defer to you, this is your area, but if there's a way that we could get that message out, that we are the first in the state that are doing it, and that we're being asked by other systems for how we have done it. I think it really speaks wonderfully because for a long time, OCPL did not have the best reputation in the library world, and I think it's terrific that we have turned it around so much, and now we're the leader in the group.
I'd like to see us play with the fact that the New York Public Library is asking us to share our plans, because that's obviously a fairly prestigious institution. Another question just occurred to me because I'm sitting here looking at a pile of library materials that I've had out since February. Will we, right now, of course, fines has been suspended, but eventually all this stuff is going to be due. Will that be when curbside pickup returns, or have you not gotten down to that?
Well, we're gonna have to play around with that a little bit. We're gonna have to really play around with due dates as well. And again, that's I think Miranda was asking earlier some pretty granular questions that we just haven't gotten to yet. And one of them is, look, if I have to keep your books in a 72-hour quarantine, if I say, hey, look, my book was due on Wednesday, but that it's got to go into a quarantine for 4 days. And now you're getting dinged for that. That's not fair to the patron, So we're going to have to do some patron re-education that way. We may open up some of our due dates so that people are coming maybe not as often. But that's all stuff that we're going to be looking at pretty closely. I think we're also going to have to look closely at book returns. Because like you say, Tim, you've read all your books. You're ready to get them all back, And in a normal thing, maybe you'd get back 2 of them and hold back 3 of them that you want to renew or keep back because you haven't gotten them to them yet. And that's just not the case at this point. They're all read. So we may very well have to do something. And again, all plans right now are fluid. But we may need to do something where if your last name ends with A to E, return your books on, Mondays, you know what I mean? And have people kind of do that just so we don't get completely buried. We're also dealing with things of people are donating books. We don't want your book donations. We don't want stuff because then again, it has to go through another 72-hour period before it can even be sorted. So, so that stuff is very, very, very much, everything is kind of in play right now. And it's fascinating. Tim, 2 things for you that I think you'll really appreciate. One, New York Public didn't ask for it once, they asked for it twice. I was actually in a planning meeting wearing my other hat, my library advocate for libraries in New York City hat, and we were having a planning meeting for the advocacy season between my organization and folks from the government communications offices of the 3 Tri-Li libraries, so we could coordinate our efforts. And George Milhades, you can look him up. He's the senior director of government community affairs for New York Public. Was like, hey, Christian, that sounds great. I'd really like to see your document. the guy wrote back to me 48 hours later after he'd seen us in the newspaper saying, "Hey, Christian, I'd really, really like to see that document." So that was fun. And then I shared it with, you know, a good friend of mine and a colleague who's the library, the chief librarian for the Queens Public Library. And, you know, they're not really doing curbside because doing curbside in New York City has a lot of logistical kind of hassles. But one of the things that he mentioned was that he's been processing everything, and something that gives him hope is that he's getting this materials in from all across the country, and that a lot of us are coming up with the same ideas. And I often will say, you know, library science is that. It's library science. It's not library, you know, I feel that way. It's library science. And the fact that so many practitioners, so many scientists, as it were, are out in the field looking at the same data sets, looking at the same problems, and coming up with similar results, I'm taking as very hopeful, as being very, you know, as being an indication that we might be on the right track here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Christian, you mentioned using the vestibule.
Yes.
I don't know if there's airflow through that vestibule, so maybe that's not the best space, but I leave that to you to consider with whoever's in the know. Maybe there's another, at the other end of the galleries, or somewhere where there's airflow, that might be a safer place to interact with people, or people come in.
You know, that's a great note, and I think that that's something that we could include. I think that it would almost be worth our while to have a fan going to a degree to have a negative air pressure. But the problem, of course, is that too much air and movement around. Like we're actually in the process right now of having all of the hand dryers turned off. And I mean, not like a sign over them that says, "Please don't use hand dryer." Like the thing is just off. The electricity's cut to it. Because if you don't do a thorough job of washing your hands, there's you know, any virus that's on your hand that hasn't been eliminated, if you put it under a hand dryer, now it's all over the bathroom. So we're just eliminating those entirely. So I'm a little bit concerned. I would be more concerned about airflow, you know, with potential contagion coming into the building, and just keeping that area as clean as possible. But it's a good point, Ed. It's certainly something for us to talk to folks in facilities about and see how that's being addressed. Bathrooms are going to be a big deal as well. Of course, all of our bathrooms are what's called gang bathrooms, because they are bathrooms that are made for more than one person. It's kind of gross, but COVID can be transferred via fecal matter. So flushing in a public bathroom is problematic. So these are things that we're looking at. This is what I went to library school, guys, for, guys. So this is what we're trying to figure out.
You see on TV people spraying down public spaces and or misting down public spaces, and that might be something that you or the county might consider.
That is something that the county is considering. Archie with Archie
Archie Wixon, yeah.
Archie Wixon,
facilities.
yeah, for facilities. He and I have been in pretty regular contact. I'm pretty tight with his guys. John and Tony, who work for him, are really good guys, and we communicate a lot. Archie and I have been communicating more and more. It's been going really well. He's very happy with our plan and is happy to be on board to make recommendations for us. So Archie's very much on board. He's got some fairly comprehensive facilities and maintenance cleaning plans, some stuff that's similar to what they're doing at the Civic Center now, which of course, you know, now they've had a chance to get those down as best practices. They're looking at that stuff for us as well. Jill, you mentioned kind of these antiseptic mists. There is some talk about possibly utilizing, using that on a regular basis, possibly as often as weekly. In the libraries, but it is a question of contracts and costs and county and what they're able to do. But that's definitely in the mix for Archie right now. He is. I mean, honestly, guys, we're the biggest thing in the county right now. You know, I mean, other than COVID and the public health response, us opening is the focus of a lot of efforts on behalf of the county right now. So we're definitely have people trying to do it right and get it right, because a lot of people are watching.
And I'll note that the county executive on Wednesday said that he would be releasing the plan for how the libraries are going to open next week. So he put a stake in the ground for talking about it again. Any further questions? I'm hearing none. So Christian, thank you for helping to schedule this extraordinary board meeting. Thank you for the work that you're doing and for the plans that are going into place. I would like to thank everyone who came to this board meeting because this is an important topic, so thank you for coming. And would someone like to move that we adjourn?
I'll move it.
Ed moved, Tim seconded. All in
I
favor?
took Tim's thunder. Maybe he wants to reverse that. I don't know.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I can live with a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you,
Okay.
Christian and
Thanks,
staff, for
everyone.
everything
Thank you.
you're
For
doing.
everyone's hard work.
Thank you. I'm around if you need me. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks,
All right.
Christian.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Hey, Christian, it's Dane. I don't know if you've got a minute. I just wanted to, in light of your questions yesterday that you asked, just wanted to get a quick chat with you if you got a chance. Want to talk about a few caveats to what we're looking at and before we put together a sort of a plan for everyone.
Hi, I'm sorry. Am I in a meeting?
Hey, Christian, you're still logged into the board meeting. It's Val. I'm running the OCPL admin account because I logged into it by mistake, and if I left it, I would have ended the meeting. So Dane was just on and he had a question, but it looks like he's logged off as well. So I'm just waiting
sorry.
for
I thought I was out.
No, that's okay. I'm just waiting for everyone else to log out so that I can end the recording. So it looks like it's you and Dan and Ed are still logged in. So.
Well, I'm leaving then. So
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Hey, Val, you okay? How's everything going?
Yeah, hanging in there. I'm
right,
working on the notes that I promised you, so we should have those by this afternoon.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.